imagine this situation. You've been told your whole life that sunscreens are good for your skin and that they protect you against sunlight. However, you have acne-prone skin, greasy skin, and so no matter what sunscreen you put on, your skin starts to feel greasy and break out. To make matters worse, imagine your skin is ultra-sensitive and is prone to getting hyperpigmentation, erythema or redness, and even scarring. Essentially, I'm describing my own skin. But if you are anything like me, when faced with tons and tons of sunscreens on the market, it is often quite difficult to choose the best for your skin type. Hi friends, I'm Chris, and for those who don't know me, I'm a dermatology trainee currently working in the west of Scotland in the UK. I'm going to review all the sunscreens that I bought from Boots, and I'm going to give my honest opinions about them. The reason why I chose Boots is because Boots is a very popular shop in the UK where it sells a ton of health and beauty products for a reasonable price. These products are easy to get either from online or from your local Boots shop, so I hope this video will be quite useful for people living in the UK and also living abroad. I'm going to break down my reviews into a few sections in order to give a more objective and impartial judgment. I can't obviously buy all the sunscreens from Boots because it's going to leave a huge hole in my pocket, which is why I've only chosen the sunscreens with SPF 50. So the first sunscreen is this, which is the Nivea Sun UV Face Sunscreen of SPF 50 with Shine Control. Now this is a chemical sunscreen that offers SPF 50 against UVB and has a 5-star rating against UVA. The cost is £8 in the UK and it contains various chemical ingredients that offer broad spectrum protection. Because it's a chemical sunscreen, it absorbs very quickly into the skin and doesn't leave behind a white cast. It has a nice fragrance and is non-greasy to the skin. The only thing that I have to say about this sunscreen is that the consistency is slightly thick, which is why at the end of the day, my face does shine a bit. In terms of visible light protection, I don't really think it offers any visible light protection based on the ingredients listed, even though it says it on the packaging. So I wouldn't really recommend this to people who are prone to melasma and hyperpigmentation. It contains fragrances like linalool and limonene, which might not be good for people with contact allergies to fragrances or people with general sensitive skin. Lastly, it is also considered as reef safe. And when I say reef safe in inverted commas, it's because the data behind sunscreens causing damage to marine life and water supplies is actually quite scant and limited. Reassuringly, this sunscreen doesn't contain chemicals like oxybenzone, which have been shown in some studies to cause coral reef bleaching. The next sunscreen is the Eucerin Sun Oil Control Face Protection Sunscreen for oily and blemish-prone skin. This is a chemical sunscreen with SPF 50 against UVB and 5-star UVA protection. It costs around £16, which is double the price of the Nivea sunscreen. Again, as listed here, it has many ingredients that offer good UVA and UVB protection. What I like about this sunscreen is that it doesn't leave behind a white cast. It doesn't have a strong fragrance or smell, which I really like, and the best thing of all is that the consistency is so light and it's very good for acne-prone skin. The company says that it has its own sebum regulating technology with L-carnitine, which gives the skin an anti-shine appearance. In terms of visible light protection against hyperpigmentation, this sunscreen doesn't offer that. The other thing I'd like to highlight with this sunscreen is that it contains lycochalcone extract, which is antioxidant and is extremely soothing to the skin. Next up, we have the Avene Very High Protection, and like the previous two sunscreens, this is a chemical sunscreen that offers SPF 50 against UVB and high protection against UVA. It also protects against blue light, which is part of the visible light spectrum. It costs around £21 in Boots, and so it's a bit more pricey compared to Eucerin and Nivea sunscreens. Now, in terms of the active ingredients, as you can see on the list, there are many ingredients that can offer both UVB and UVA protection. And most interestingly, there is this new UV filter called Tri-Aesop. I hope I don't butcher this name. And this is a new UV filter that offers protection not just against UVA, UVB, but also visible light. In terms of its white cast appearance, it does take a bit of time for it to settle down into the skin, which I find a bit longer than the rest of the sunscreens I've tried. But once it's fully absorbed, it doesn't leave behind any white cast. It is lightly scented, and again, it has a very light consistency which feels great on your skin. As we've mentioned, it offers protection not just against UVB, UVA, but also blue light in the visible light range. And this is extremely useful for people who are prone to hyperpigmentation and melasma. Other ingredients of note in this sunscreen is the Avene Thermal Spring Water, which the company says is anti-soothing, anti-irritating, which is very good for blemish-prone skin. It also has zinc gluconate, which has antibacterial and anti-inflammatory properties, and this is good with calming down any inflamed acne spots. Next up, we have the La Roche-Posay Anthelios UVMUNE 400 Invisible Fluid Tinted SPF 50. This has such a long name, but it's actually the one that I'm using right now on a daily basis, and you can actually see some of the stains and fluid spillage from the cap. The reason why I chose this is because it's a hybrid sunscreen containing both mineral and chemical sunscreen ingredients. This sunscreen offers good broad spectrum high protection against UVB and UVA, and it costs around £19.90 in Boots. It has a ton of active ingredients giving its broad spectrum sun protection properties, but I want to highlight the mineral active ingredient, which is the titanium dioxide. It also has the iron oxide, which gives its tinted appearance, and this is the one that can help act against visible light. This sunscreen doesn't leave behind any white cast. It has a stronger fragrance, but doesn't leave behind a sticky residue on the skin. In fact, as the name suggests, it feels more liquidy and fluidy compared to the rest of the sunscreens that I've used, which feels more creamy with a thicker consistency. So I'll recommend this if you're looking for a sunscreen that isn't too greasy, too thick, that runs like water on the face and offers a good broad spectrum against UVB, UVA, and visible light. Next up, we have the CeraVe AM Facial Moisturising Lotion with SPF 50. This is a chemical sunscreen that offers both UVB and UVA protection. The cost of this sunscreen is slightly cheaper than that of the La Roche-Posay brand, and it costs around £16.50 on Boots. It has many active ingredients as listed on the screen. It doesn't give off a white cast when applied, which is great. Even though this is branded for normal to dry skin, actually when I use it on my face, it doesn't feel too greasy either. It doesn't have a scent, which is great for people with sensitive skin, which may not tolerate the irritation from the fragrances. The only thing is that it doesn't offer visible light protection, which is sometimes recommended in patients of darker skin types to prevent hyperpigmentation. It contains other ingredients like niacinamide, which has anti-inflammatory, antioxidant properties, great for blemish-prone skin. It also contains ceramides and hyaluronic acids, which are humectants that act as a sponge to keep the water in the skin. Interestingly, it also has a teeny-weeny amount of retinol in the sunscreen, which helps again with acne-prone skin. The last sunscreen that I bought from Boots is Vichy Ideal Soleil Mattifying Face Dry Touch Sun Cream of SPF 50. And like the other sunscreens, this is a chemical sunscreen that offers protection against UVB and UVA. It costs around £18 in Boots and contains a wide range of active ingredients to offer the broad spectrum sun protection. In terms of the white cast appearance, it does give off a white cast appearance when you first apply it, and it can take a little bit of time before it's absorbed fully. It also has a strong fragrance scent, which can either be good or bad depending on whether you like the fragrance or not. The consistency is also much thicker compared to the Eucerin or La Roche-Posay sunscreen. And lastly, it doesn't really offer any visible light protection. So overall, all these sunscreens have their own advantages and disadvantages, and it really boils down to what you like on your skin. I think that if you are of a darker skin type, if you're prone to melasma and hyperpigmentation, it is very important to get a sunscreen, no matter what, that offers good protection against blue light in the visible light range. And from the list, it can be the Avene or La Roche-Posay sunscreens. In terms of the best cost-effective sunscreens that offer broad spectrum sun protection, you might want to consider the Nivea sunscreen or even the Eucerin. And lastly, for people with the same skin type as me, which is combination oily skin, acne prone, scarring, hyperpigmentation, erythema, whatever you can think of, I have it, that sort of skin type, then I recommend going for something really light, such as the La Roche-Posay or the Eucerin sunscreen, which has anti-shine properties. I hope you enjoy watching this video as much as I enjoyed researching on all the sunscreen ingredients out there. If you would like to know more about sunscreen, sunlight in general, do check out my other videos linked in the description. See you again next time. Bye bye.